I'm super apologetic. I'm a little bit behind on this video. It actually, I actually spent the morning doing a couple things with sterilization. Actually, I'm the sterilization kind of expert in our clinic in our group practice, and I also went. So that's not this. That's why I was slow. But I was also thinking about last night because this is real time as you see this gingival architecture here. And I really spent a lot of time thinking about it because, my concern is we do an implant and it's going to end up here. And I'm apologetic if I hadn't thought about that before, but I think it's valuable in treatment planning and really thinking about this. So I searched around online. So the periodontist sent me this great article on the weekend. I was talking about this case with her. This one's got nothing to do with gingival architecture, but it has implant placement, post-extraction, and aesthetic single-tooth sites, when immediate, when early, and when late. So it's a really great article. I joked with her why, this is Periodontology 2000. I'm like, it sounds like this was created in 1978, and now we're way past 20 years past this. But she said it's really a great journal because it's easy to read. So I put that in the link. Take a look at it. There's some really good information in here. It doesn't really, I found it didn't talk about the gingival architecture that much, or maybe I didn't read it in depth enough. Maybe I just looked at the pictures. Regardless, what I did do was I Googled immediate placement, and there's another, this is from Pocket Dentistry, which I kind of look at once in a while. And I made a PDF out of it. And one of the points here was, and in this case, we've got lots of bone. There's lots of bone everywhere. It's this gingival architecture that's kind of bugging me. So this morning I talked with the periodontist and the prosthodontist in our group, and we still didn't come to an absolute answer. I don't think it ever will be, but we got closer to a better solution. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. So in here they talk about the gingival level, and I think it's really important to note that the gingival level should be the same or more coronal than the contralateral tooth, harmonious with the adjacent dentition, as some recession can be expected after the procedure. So my gut is that this gingiva is going to go even higher. Now she's got a super high smile line, and that's going to become a super issue. And that's where the initial, I was going to extrude the tooth and put a new crown on it. That was the issue. But then, so the initial ideal was to do, that's how I got the retreat done, because of this gingival architecture, was to extrude it, get the gingival architecture down kind of even with the opposing, or the contralateral lateral. But then, really the prosthodontist asked me a good question, and I remembered to tell him that it's like, yeah, so during that post placement years ago, even though this looks like it's almost down the canal, it's actually quite buccal. And you can see it here. So there is where that post is, and then you'll see the rest of the root canal kind of go down. There's the rest of the root canal. But, restorability is pretty darn questionable. And he asked, can you prep that out with your crown if you extrude it? And it's like, no, that's pretty high up. Well, not pretty high up, but I don't think you can. You'd have to extrude it quite a bit if it's right there. So I think what we're going to do is, and there's another article here I have for you to review. So I put these all in. This was a really neat article right here. So I found this one, Orthodontic Extrusion for Implant Site Development. And of course, Dennis Tarnow, this guy is a prosthodontist, and Dennis Tarnow is a well-known periodontist. This is a great article. They talk about extruding, and it talked about some of the biomechanics of extruding teeth before implants. And I honestly think that is the way to go in this situation. So I have all three of those. So where does that leave us now? So it leaves us with what we're going to do, because I messaged another periodontist, and she said, a really good friend of mine actually did her root canal about 2 months ago, and I asked her at the same time, is it still asymptomatic? She said, yeah. So the real question, she said you could do a connective tissue graft. However, another periodontist said that it's probably not going to work that well. Everyone's got a different opinion. So what we're going to do is we're going to bracket some of these teeth. We're going to extrude it slowly. We're going to get 1 millimeter per month, slow extrusion, bring all the alveolus, so the tissue apical with it. We're going to bring the tissue down slowly. We'll give it about a 3-month holding pattern, and then we'll place our implant. So all that excitement, and then what we're going to do is we can go through the planning. Let's put our implants back in, and really what we'll do is we'll take a look at that, but we have all the guides. Nothing else is changing, so all this stuff is still going to be the same. Essentially what we've done is we're going to use a guided technique for the implant here. Let's change my workspace. So let's go ahead and look at the planning. The teeth won't shift that much, the adjacent teeth, so I'm not too concerned. This is the one. Where is it? The one that we usually use. This one here. So what we've done here is I've placed the implant virtually, and we're going to try to keep it along the lingual, the cortical plate. I mean, I'm sure you're well aware of that information. And actually what we're doing is we're going to, so you see how the resize is snapped to the implant, so we're going to rotate around that tooth, that implant, and see how it's set up in the alveolus. So this root is actually kind of, the tooth number 1, 2, the root is actually going a little more mesial, so we're going to line it a little more straight up and get a little more access to trabecular bone and get a little more stability, looking for roughly 45 Newton centimeters of bone, of torquing, sorry. So the beauty of this software, so we planned it for just a pilot hole, and then for a guided pilot hole, and then we'll do the rest of the osteotomies freehand. So this is a 13 millimeter implant, 3.5 millimeters in diameter, Noble Active, and we've got that lined up. And the beauty of what we're doing with this software is that I can line up the screw channel. So we're using what's called an ASC, angulated screw channel. So we have up to 25 degrees of angulation. So we're still going to have a screw retain restoration, but it's going to be, this screw channel is going to come out the lingual. So we're just planning it. This isn't going to be the final. We'll do that old school. But it just gives an idea. What this does is it helps me plan the angulation of the implant, so just we can make sure that our screw channel is coming out the lingual versus coming out the buccal and having to use a cement retained restoration. So that was that's kind of the biggest development from that. So that's what we're going to do. The next video you're going to see is me putting on brackets. We're going to extrude that tooth approximately 1 millimeter. 2 millimeters. We'll see how slow it goes. Should be a couple months, and then we'll go from there. So thanks so much for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you find these articles helpful, and let me know what you think if this was useful. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.